Hello, and welcome to Dreamy Tales, a cozy nook where you can gently unwind and drift into a peaceful night's rest. Tonight, we're sharing another soothing story, one that can help settle your mind and foster a feeling of quiet calm. But first, let's take a moment to prepare our bodies and minds for a tranquil, rejuvenating sleep. Settle in comfortably, and with each slow inhale and gentle exhale, allow the day's worries to gradually fade away. It can be challenging to pull away from the day's busyness, particularly as bedtime approaches. Yet remember, the less we stress over falling asleep quickly, the easier it becomes for our minds to release any tension. Let the gentle rhythm of your breath carry off lingering concerns, and let tonight's story be your guide toward deep relaxation. Now, make yourself comfortable and let the warmth of Dreamy Tales envelop you. Enjoy the story, and may you find a restful, peaceful slumber here in our little nighttime sanctuary. The raindrops gently dance against the bedroom window, crafting a soothing symphony that guides Lily from the realm of dreams to the waking world in the soft light of dawn. She listens closely to each drop as it lightly splashes on the glass, counting them meticulously until they become too many to keep track of. Instead, she lets her mind drift, comparing the harmonious sound to grains of rice pouring into a jar. This is the song of the season, she reflects, relishing the rhythm of the rain and the faint whisper of leaves rustling on branches outside. Imagining the vibrant colors of autumn and the gradual winding down of the year, Lily beams and stretches her arms high above her head. Even though darkness still cloaks everything outside her window, she knows it's time to rise. Soon she will put on her hat and coat and head to the bakery to prepare for her first customers of the day. Though she begins her day earlier than most of her neighbors, Lily finds joy in her routine. She loves her work and eagerly awaits placing those first pastries in the oven and brewing her first pot of coffee. The delighted smiles on her regular patrons' faces make those early hours truly rewarding, ensuring that by nightfall she will be ready for a peaceful sleep. Sitting up in bed, she uncovers her legs and slips her feet into the cozy slippers, waiting patiently on the floor before rising with a gentle yawn. Quietly padding into the kitchen, Lily savors this serene hour when night softly surrenders to daybreak. Through the window, she catches sight of the faint morning glow reflecting off the gray exterior of her neighbor's house, where its occupant still enjoys his slumber. He often rises later in the morning, savoring a cup of coffee before tending lovingly to his garden, nurturing each flower and shrub with care. Lily admires his beautiful plants and feels grateful for the warmth and friendship shared among all who live on their street. As she approaches the kitchen counter, Lily prepares a steaming cup of robust black tea, her favorite morning drink. Adding a splash of milk, she watches as it swirls gracefully into the dark brew. Carrying her warm cup to her usual spot beneath the kitchen window, she settles into a wooden chair and takes that first sip. The rich flavor envelops her senses like a comforting embrace, reminiscent of glowing embers on a chilly day. As Lily gazes out through the glass at the sky, she notices that clouds have formed a thick, heavy blanket over the town, She suspects there won't be any respite from the rain today. Yet, this doesn't trouble her. Autumn showers are quite common, and she cherishes the distinct feelings that come with this season. Without the rain, she wouldn't have the chance to don her cozy sweaters, slip into her beloved rubber boots, wrap herself in warm scarves, or carry her brightly colored umbrella. Rain can be delightful when you're bundled up snugly with a steaming cup of tea. After savoring the last sip of her tea and rinsing her cup in the sink, she sets it aside to dry on a small bamboo rack. Then she heads to her bedroom to prepare for the day ahead. With one last look at her inviting bed, she strides toward the front door, knowing that rest will come later. In the hallway, she puts on her felt hat and woolen scarf and grabs her cheerful yellow umbrella. As she closes the door behind her with a soft click, she steps onto the walkway and opens the umbrella, which unfurls into a vibrant canopy above her head. Out of the corner of her eye, she catches sight of a familiar little white cat in the window of a neighboring house to her right. The cat belongs to a kind woman who usually wears her hair in a bun. The feline watches Lily pass by with an inscrutable expression. Lily smiles and gives a friendly wave. Beyond the fluffy cat, the neighborhood is still and quiet. As she strolls along, she passes charming homes with darkened windows, still in slumber. A few porch lights flicker softly above brick steps, while street lamps cast a gentle yellow glow that dances upon the rain-soaked pavement. The sound of raindrops pattering against her umbrella fabric fills her ears. Beneath its cheerful yellow shelter, Lily feels safe and dry, reminded of childhood days spent building forts out of pillows and blankets. Snuggled beneath layers of cotton and fleece back then, she felt as if the entire world had shrunk into a peaceful haven all her own. Lily beams at the cherished memory, wrapping her free hand tighter around her woolen scarf. As she descends the hill toward the bakery's parking lot, she gracefully leaps over a puddle on her left and skillfully navigates another on her right. In the distance, the bakery's vibrant door stands out against the dreary backdrop. A joyful array of green, blue, yellow, purple, and orange swirls across the wooden facade, inviting every passerby to enter. She fondly recalls a summer evening from long ago when she painted that very door. With a brush in hand, she let her imagination run wild, blending a spectrum of colors into swirling designs across the wood. When she stepped back to admire her work, she found her overalls and hands speckled with bits of dried paint. A laugh escaped her lips as she reveled in the delight of transforming the ordinary into something beautiful, even if just for a moment. Now, Lily retrieves her brass keys and inserts one into the lock of the door. It creaks open, unveiling the shadowy interior of the still slumbering shop. She shakes off her umbrella and lightly taps a switch with her fingertip. The lights flicker to life, filling her with a sense of warmth and belonging. It feels wonderful to be back in a bakery. As she strolls through the tranquil space, the comforting scents of flour, sugar, and espresso beans envelop her. Remnants of yesterday's baking linger in the air. There's also a subtle aroma of toasted pecans from the pie she prepared just before closing. In her mind, Lily lists all the delightful treats she plans to create today as she prepares for opening time. She turns on the oven to allow it to preheat. First up will be cinnamon rolls, her usual go-to, but this time she'll add some toasted pecans for an extra crunch. She gathers all the metal parts of the espresso machine that she left drying on the rack overnight. And how could she forget? Today is also Pumpkin Pie Day. Every year around this time, her customers eagerly inquire about when they can expect those beloved pies to be ready. Some prefer ordering by the slice, while others look forward to taking home an entire pie to share with their loved ones. Lily strolls over to the inviting seating nook and gently reaches down to the wall. Her fingers discover a plug, which she carefully connects to the socket. Instantly, strands of fairy lights begin to twinkle above her, casting a warm glow. For a brief moment, she pauses, allowing her thoughts to settle like leaves on a still pond. Taking a deep breath, she gazes up at the shimmering lights. As she exhales, a wave of tranquility envelops her. It's essential to slow down and savor these little moments. She muses. After all, these are the moments that weave magic into life. With the lights sparkling overhead, she makes her way to the counter and into the quaint open kitchen area. From this vantage point, she can see the entire shop and effortlessly transition from her baking station to the espresso machine whenever customers arrive. She retrieves 2 large white buckets filled with dough from beneath the counter. The sticky mixture has been rising overnight in its cozy corner. Pouring it onto the wooden surface, she flattens it out and sprinkles it generously with cinnamon sugar and toasted pecans before deftly rolling it into a thick log. With careful precision, she slices it into discs adorned with delicate spirals of filling. Dusting each one with more cinnamon sugar, she places the tray in the oven for baking. Moments later, an irresistible aroma of freshly baked cinnamon rolls fills the air of the bakery. The delightful scent mingles with the warmth radiating from the oven, wrapping Lily in a comforting embrace that feels like home. After a while, the oven beeps cheerfully. She carefully retrieves the tray of rolls and sets it on a wire rack to cool. Now it's time to turn her attention to making a pie. She walks over to the pantry at the back of the kitchen and opens its door wide. To Lily, this space is like her own enchanted room, brimming with all sorts of ingredients and supplies she could ever wish for. Tubs of flour and baking powder are neatly stacked beneath towering canisters filled with spices and bottles of flavor extracts. A jar of fragrant vanilla pods sits perched on the top shelf among star anise, fresh cloves, poppy seeds, onion powder, roasted garlic, and chili flakes. And there, tucked away on the bottom shelf near the back, are fresh sugar pumpkins sourced from a nearby farm, just waiting for their turn in her culinary creations. Lily selects a robust, medium-sized pumpkin and tucks it securely under her arm. In a large metal mixing bowl, she gathers jars of spices and a few wooden spoons, balancing everything with the grace of someone accustomed to carrying more than they ought to. She gently places her collection of ingredients down on the counter. The first task at hand is to roast the pumpkin. With careful precision, she slices the gourd in half and scoops out its stringy insides and seeds. Setting both halves face down on a baking tray, she places them in the oven to cook and soften. As the oven works its magic on the pumpkin, Lily turns her attention to preparing the crust. There are countless crust options available, but her heart belongs to graham cracker crust. This cherished recipe comes from her Aunt Lucy, who always baked delightful mini pies for all the children during the holidays. Lily retrieves a plastic sleeve of graham crackers from their cheerful blue cardboard box and sets it on the counter. Covering the package with a tea towel, she fetches her sturdy rolling pin. With gentle determination, she rolls it back and forth over the towel, crushing the crackers beneath. She moves the pin side to side, feeling the smooth wooden handles glide comfortably in her hands, while the crackers crunch and snap under pressure. Once they resemble coarse sand, she carefully opens the corners of the bag and pours its contents into a mixing bowl. A tiny cloud of graham cracker dust tickles her nose. Next, Lily strolls over to the large silver refrigerator in search of a stick of butter. After unwrapping its waxy covering, she drops it into a mixing cup and places it in the microwave for just a few seconds until it melts into golden liquid. Pouring the melted butter into the bowl with the crumbs, she adds a generous sprinkle of sugar and cinnamon. Using a long wooden spoon, she stirs everything together until it feels like damp sand. With nimble fingers, she presses this mixture into the bottom and sides of a shallow pie dish, working meticulously to avoid any cracks along the edges. A little more here, a little less there. Before long, it transforms into an even brown base. The oven beeps once more as Lily dons her thick, colorful oven mitts and carefully lifts out the tray of pumpkin. Sliding the pie dish into its rightful spot in the oven, she sets the timer for 12 minutes. Just enough time for that crust to become slightly crunchy, so it can support the luscious filling that will follow. At that moment, a soft creak fills the air as the wooden door swings open. The first customer of the day has arrived, and it's none other than Seamus, the gentle old man who relishes his morning ritual of sipping coffee while enjoying a cinnamon roll and reading the newspaper. However, today is special because Lily has baked a fresh pumpkin pie. He beams at her as she pours a delicate stream of coffee into his favorite mug. After so many years of visiting her shop, he doesn't even need to place an order anymore. By the time he reaches the counter and greets her with a cheerful "Good morning," Lily already has his breakfast prepared. "It smells like pumpkin pie is on the menu today," he comments, lifting his coffee cup with delight. With a smile, she assures him that she will bring him a slice just as soon as it is out of the oven. Grateful, he settles into his usual spot by the window, unfolding the crisp pages of his morning paper. With Seamus here, it truly feels like the day has begun. Lily cherishes these moments while Seamus enjoys his time in her bakery. He is as integral to this place as any other familiar face that walks through her doors. Together, they form a tight-knit community, a family in its own right, and they proudly call the Rainy Day Bakery their home. Glancing at the timer, she sees that the crust is ready to be taken out. Donning her oven mitts, she carefully retrieves the dish from the oven. The aroma wafting through the air is warm, sweet, and toasty. Just divine, as Seamus would say. Now focused on the pumpkin filling, Lily scoops out the vibrant orange flesh from its skin and drops it into a large bowl with care. Using a wooden spoon, she mashes it until it achieves a smooth and creamy texture. Next, She retrieves eggs and heavy cream from the refrigerator and begins cracking each egg one by one into the pumpkin mixture. As she pours in the cream, it flows like silky rivers of white through valleys of orange puree, creating an enchanting blend that promises deliciousness ahead. Lily scoops generous spoonfuls of cinnamon, ground ginger, nutmeg, cloves, and cardamom into her mixing bowl. The blend of spices evokes all the warmth and familiarity of this special season. This is the essence of the holidays, a celebration of family and togetherness. As she combines the ingredients, the air wraps around her like a cozy blanket woven from memories and delightful scents. She carefully grates a hint of lemon zest into the filling to add brightness and a touch of zest. With one final stir, she achieves a smooth and silky mixture. Gently, she pours the filling into the crust, using a spatula to ensure not a drop is wasted as she cleans the bowl's edges. Then, with great care, she transports the wobbly pie to the oven and places it gently on the rack. With the timer set, Lily takes a moment to relax. Leaning back against her table, she gazes over her little shop. In one corner stands a bookshelf filled with an assortment of paperback novels and beautifully bound art books left behind by visitors. Over the years, she has contributed a few mystery stories herself. Once she's enjoyed them, she loves passing them along to others, knowing they will bring joy to new readers. Close to the shelf sits a charming hand-painted rocking chair for children that she discovered in a thrift store long ago. It now holds memories of countless little ones who have added their own artistic flair, decorated with flowers and bees, swirling lines, and tiny scratches. The oven timer beeps, pulling Lily back to her baking duties. The pie is ready. As she opens the oven door, a warm gust rushes out like a dragon's breath, carrying with it the inviting scent of freshly baked pumpkin pie. She lifts the dish from the oven and sets it on the counter to cool while tidying up her mixing bowls, rolling pins, and measuring cups. By the window, Seamus watches intently with curious eyes fixed on the pie. With a smile, she slices off a piece for him and decides to treat herself with an extra slice as well. After such a long morning's work, there's nothing better than savoring something sweet alongside an old friend. She carefully places each slice on a petite white plate, topping them with a generous dollop of freshly whipped cream. As she brings them to the table by the window, she settles down across from Seamus. "It smells delightful, just like every year," he comments, eagerly piercing his fork into the rich filling. Lily takes her first bite, savoring the tangy pumpkin flavor that dances on her palate. The taste is luxurious and fragrant, wrapping around her senses with a warm embrace of sweet spices. Perfect, she thinks. Truly perfect. As she enjoys her pie, Lily takes in the charm of her cozy bakery. Seamus beams at her. There's something wonderful about sharing moments with good friends on autumn afternoons like this, she reflects. Her eyes drift to the twinkling fairy lights that flicker in harmony with the rhythmic patter of raindrops against the window. These little touches make this place feel just like home, Lily muses softly. The bakery holds countless stories within its walls, tales of all who have walked through its creaky wooden door. A content smile graces her lips as she realizes This is exactly where she is meant to be. Raindrops gently tap against the window near Lily's bed. Occasionally, a strong gust of wind sends the rain cascading against the glass. Nestled under her covers with eyes closed, Lily listens to the soothing symphony of the storm outside. It's going to be quite a blustery day, she thinks, savoring these final moments of warmth before rising in the morning. These are some of Lily's most treasured times, when her thoughts drift into dreams and her mind clings to the lingering sensation of deep slumber. Soon, a yawn escapes her lips, prompting her to stretch her arms wide. She circles her ankles in both directions a few times, getting them ready for movement when she finally leaves her cozy nest. Taking a deep breath in and releasing it slowly, she allows herself to sink deeper into the softness of the sheets. Just a little longer, she whispers to herself, a gentle smile playing upon her face. The rain continues its rhythmic dance against the window as if curtains of water are opening and closing in waves. Another gust of wind rattles the branches of a tree outside, sending a flurry of raindrops splattering against the house. Days like this always thrill Lily. There's an exhilarating unpredictability to the weather that sparks a sense of spontaneity within her. With that thought in mind, she pushes herself up to sit on the edge of her bed and stands up slowly, casting a glance out at the world beyond her window as she rises. As usual, the world outside remains cloaked in darkness. Lily rises earlier than most of her neighbors, preparing to have the bakery ready just as others begin their day. She knows that the rest of the neighborhood is still nestled in slumber. Even the cats are likely curled up in their soft beds or lounging on pillows by the window sills, patiently waiting for dawn to arrive. Slipping her feet into her cozy slippers, Lily quietly makes her way to the kitchen. The first thing she does is set the kettle on the stove for a steaming cup of robust tea. Leaning against the counter, she listens intently as the water begins to heat, bubbling and rumbling within. From a drawer, she pulls out a small metal tea ball and fills it with aromatic strands of loose-leaf black tea. Each leaf sits at an odd angle inside the ball, so she carefully twists on the top to ensure none escape. She hangs the tea ball over her cup using a delicate metal hook and chain. Once the water has reached its boiling point, she pours it over the tea. Bubbles emerge from within the metal sphere, causing it to bob slightly before settling at the bottom. A swirl of color unfurls from it, tinting the clear water as it dances around. Lily lifts her cup to her nose and inhales deeply. The scent of hot tea on a chilly morning brings her joy. Feeling a bit adventurous today, she opts to skip her usual splash of milk and savor it black instead. Yet, craving a touch of familiarity, she carries her cup to the wooden chair beneath the kitchen window, her favored spot for enjoying morning tea while gazing out at her sleepy neighborhood through the glass. Some mornings, beams of sunlight break through clouds by this hour, but today is different. A thick blanket of gray clouds hangs low over town, with rain falling steadily, occasionally interrupted by gusts of wind that sway the branches of a tree across the street. "Oh, it's definitely coat weather today," she muses to herself. Sipping her tea slowly, she feels warmth spreading through her with each comforting drop. She wiggles her toes inside her fuzzy slippers, delighting in the pleasant tingling sensation that travels across her skin. This truly is a wonderfully cozy morning, she thinks happily. Once Lily finished her tea, she rinsed the cup and set it on a bamboo rack by the sink to dry. Even though the sun was hidden behind clouds, Lily felt it was time to get ready for her journey to the bakery. Years of opening her shop each morning had honed her sense of timing. She seemed to possess an inner clock that guided her perfectly. She instinctively knew when to wrap up her tea and when to step out the door to reach the bakery right on schedule. Choosing a gray shirt that suited the dreary weather, Lily made her way to her bedroom to dress. She slipped into her thick wool coat, fastening each button snugly, and wrapped a cozy cable-knit scarf around her neck. A cherished gift from one of her devoted customers, Rose, 2 winters prior. This scarf was more than just warmth. It carried fond memories of friendships forged over time, filling Lily's heart with joy whenever she wore it. With the scarf snug against her chin and a pair of oversized gloves pulled from her coat pockets, Lily grabbed her beloved yellow umbrella before stepping outside. After shutting the door behind her, she paused on the front step to unfurl the umbrella. Despite the gusty winds trying to thwart her efforts, she successfully opened it wide, bringing a splash of cheerful yellow to the gloomy morning. As she stepped onto the sidewalk, she sheltered herself from the heavy raindrops that danced loudly against the umbrella. In passing, Lily spotted the small white cat that usually greeted her from her neighbor's window. Today, however, it was still curled up in a cozy ball, fast asleep in the warmth of its home. Normally so alert and watchful, the little feline was enjoying a lazy morning instead. Watching it nap peacefully behind the glass made Lily briefly long for the comfort of her own bed. Yet thoughts of her loyal customers brought a smile to her lips and filled her with determination as she stepped out into the rain, ready as ever to open the doors of Rainy Day Bakery each day, come rain or shine. As she strolls along the rain-soaked pavement toward town, she deftly navigates around sizable puddles that appear every few steps. The sidewalk glimmers softly beneath the streetlights, though the sun remains tucked away behind a blanket of clouds. It seems like it will be one of those gloomy mornings, she reflects. Up ahead, she catches sight of the bakery door, painted in cheerful hues that stand out against the twilight, beckoning all who pass. On such a day, it serves as a warm refuge where visitors can slip inside to enjoy a steaming drink, indulge in a slice of pie or a cinnamon roll, and immerse themselves in an engaging story. Some guests prefer to chat, delighting in the company of both familiar faces and new acquaintances in this cherished space. She realizes that her bakery has become a true cornerstone of the community, a home away from home where everyone can find something to lift their spirits. Lost in thought, a sudden gust of wind turns her umbrella inside out. Startled, Lily quickly makes her way to the vibrant door, fumbling with her brass keys as she unlocks it. With her now warped umbrella clutched tightly, she pushes open the door to reveal the dark and serene bakery within. After wiping her feet on the welcome mat to minimize any muddy footprints, Lily switches on the lights, casting a warm glow throughout the cozy shop. As she inspects her yellow umbrella for damage, she notices its bent metal ribs and the broken slider that fails to keep it open. With a resigned sigh, she places it down in the entryway, grateful for its years of service, but acknowledging that it's time for a new one. Planning to spend her entire day in the bakery's comforting embrace, Lily wonders when she'll manage to find time to shop for an umbrella replacement. She anticipates a soggy walk home later, but is well acquainted with the local weather and resolves to make it part of her adventure today. Taking a deep breath to clear her thoughts, she immerses herself in the day's tasks, welcomed by the familiar aromas of espresso beans, flour, and pecans lingering from last night's baking. On most days, she begins by preparing cinnamon rolls. However, today feels different, perhaps influenced by the blustery wind or the rhythmic patter of rain outside. It strikes Lily that change is in order. Moving into the snug seating area, she bends down to plug in a string of fairy lights. In moments, they twinkle above her like stars scattered across a night sky. With renewed energy surging through her steps, she heads back into the pantry and scans the shelves brimming with baking supplies and ingredients stacked high. What delightful treat shall I create today? She muses softly to herself. Just 2 days ago, she baked a delightful blueberry pie, and yesterday she followed it up with zesty lemon squares and sweet pecan rolls. The week before that, she whipped up some delicious chocolate muffins. All of these treats are cherished by her customers. Yet, Lily finds herself contemplating what might truly bring her joy. A few years back, while exploring the family home, she discovered her grandmother's old cookbook nestled on a shelf. As she turned its pages, she came across a recipe she had never tried before. Intrigued, she marked it with a scrap of paper tucked into the spine. Now, that beloved cookbook sits on a dark wooden shelf against the pantry's back wall. With a smile lighting up her face, Lily approaches the book and opens it to the marked page. The recipe is simply titled Baked Apples. In the margins, yellowed with age, she notices her grandmother's elegant handwriting. One note reads, "Perfect for a chilly autumn day." Scattered throughout the page are her grandmother's thoughtful corrections, small tips and adjustments meant to enhance the dish. Today is the day I try this, Lily decides. It feels right to embark on something new. The ingredient list is quite simple. Butter, brown sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, rolled oats, chopped pecans, and several large apples. Lily gathers all the ingredients and brings them back behind the counter. She leaves the butter out to soften while she prepares the nuts. After chopping them roughly, she sets them aside and measures out the oats next. Finally, she turns on the oven to let it preheat. The next step in the recipe is slightly more complex. She needs to core the apples and create a pocket for the filling without splitting them open entirely. Beside her instructions, her grandmother had written, "Use paring knife and spoon." With care, Lily takes her paring knife and gently pierces near the stem of the first apple. She carefully carves a circle around the core and twists it free from its base with a gentle tug. The hollow apple now resembles a pumpkin after its seeds have been scooped out. Setting that one aside, she moves on to the next apple. Before long, This task becomes second nature as she effortlessly removes each core in one swift motion until there is a neat line of prepared apples waiting to be filled. Next, it's time for Lily to prepare the delightful filling. She gathers the softened butter, sugar, cinnamon, and nutmeg, blending them together with a wooden spoon until the spices are harmoniously mixed. Once that's done, she adds the oats and chopped pecans to the bowl. With great care, she fills each apple to the brim with this delicious mixture. After completing her task, she arranges the apples neatly in ceramic pie dishes. Following her grandmother's wise advice, she pours just enough water into each dish to barely cover the bottom, ensuring that the apples won't dry out or burn. Finally ready, she dons her thick oven mitts and places the pie dishes onto the metal racks inside the oven. With a gentle click, she closes the door and sets the timer to remind her when it's time to check on her creations. As she tidies up her workspace, Lily hears the familiar creak of the bakery door opening. It's Rose, a beloved customer who has become a dear friend over time. Rose greets Lily with a bright smile, hangs her scarf on a nearby chair, and makes her way to the counter where a steaming cup of coffee awaits her. After expressing her gratitude with a warm smile, Rose asks about Lily's day. Excitedly, Lily shares all about her baked apples inspired by her grandmother's cherished recipe and invites Rose to be the very first taste tester. The two friends chat about the blustery autumn weather outside. Lily mentions her broken umbrella and worries about replacing it before heading home later. Rose offers reassuring words and a gentle pat on Lily's arm before settling down at a table with her coffee. Not long after, another familiar face enters, the ever-friendly Seamus. Lily serves him his coffee with a promise of a baked apple once they are ready. Throughout the morning, one by one, all of Lily's regular customers arrive. Some brave souls have ventured out into the storm, their coats splattered with rainwater, while others come in clutching folded newspapers or shaking out their umbrellas as they step inside. Lily happily attends to them all, serving an array of coffees, teas, and tempting pastries that fill the cozy bakery with warmth and joy. As the timer chimed softly, Lily turned away from the cozy seating area, directing her attention to the oven. With great care, she pulled out the pie dishes brimming with apples that had transformed into a tender, gooey delight. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted Rose engaging with various customers. A fleeting curiosity sparked in her mind about their early morning chatter. But soon her focus returned to her task. Gently, she lifted the apples from their water-soaked dishes and arranged them on individual plates. Making her way to the refrigerator, she retrieved a carton of whipping cream. After pouring some into a bowl, she sprinkled sugar atop it and picked up a handheld mixer to whip it into a fluffy cream. The rhythmic hum of the mixer filled the air as its beaters twirled, and Lily caught sight of Rose stepping back through the door. But she hasn't even tasted her baked apple yet, Lily mused. Once soft peaks formed in the cream, she ceased mixing. Using a metal spoon, she added a generous dollop of whipped cream to each apple and drizzled over her famous caramel sauce. The delightful aroma of warm apples mingling with rich cream wafted through the room, wrapping everyone in a blanket of homely comfort. She carried the first plate over to Seamus and set it before him before moving on to serve the family tucked away in the corner, along with the woman engrossed in her newspaper and the man who often ordered cranberry scones. As she distributed the apples, Lily noticed Rose returning through the door, cradling a long, slender package wrapped in shiny paper. Rose waved at Lily, beckoning her closer. "This is for you," she said cheerfully as she handed over the package. Attached was a handwritten note that read, "To Lily, from all your friends at the Rainy Day Bakery." Eagerly unwrapping it, Lily revealed a bright new umbrella, green, adorned with cheerful yellow polka dots and boasting a handle shaped like a duck's head. "This might just be the most delightful umbrella I've ever seen," Lily exclaimed to Rose as she admired its joyful design. "Thank you all so much." Taking in her surroundings, Lily noticed that other customers were also beaming with smiles. It dawned on her that this gift was from all of them, a heartfelt gesture from cherished friends. A wave of warmth and happiness washed over her. This place and these people truly made her feel at home. "I have something for you, too," she said playfully to Rose, handing over one of the last two baked apples crafted from her grandmother's cherished recipe while keeping one for herself. Nestled by the window, they gaze out at the drizzly, gray day where the wind dances playfully, yet inside the Rainy Day Bakery, a cocoon of warmth, safety, and love envelops everyone. With a spoon in hand, Lily carefully scoops up some of the soft apple filling, rich with gooey sweetness and perfectly spiced. Each bite is a treasure made even sweeter by the memories of her grandmother guiding her through the process and sharing this delightful treat with her dearest friends. As Lily awakens, the soothing sound of rain pattering against her window greets her. The rain falls steadily, creating a gentle rhythm that lulls her into a peaceful state. She stretches her arms and legs before sinking back into her cozy bed for just a moment longer, relishing the tranquility before her busy day unfolds. Today marks the annual cookie decorating party at the bakery, a day she eagerly anticipates. Though she baked several batches of sugar cookies yesterday, there's still much to prepare before her guests arrive later this morning. This season fills Lily with joy. The bakery buzzes with warmth, laughter, and the cheerful faces of friends and neighbors celebrating Cookie Day together. After one last stretch, she slips out of bed, dons her fuzzy slippers, and retrieves her robe from its hook on the door. Wrapped snugly in its embrace, she tiptoes softly to the kitchen. Her morning routine is comforting and familiar. Starting with boiling water in the kettle, she prepares a fragrant cup of cranberry orange-spiced black tea using a delicate metal tea ball. This winter favorite warms her heart as much as it warms her hands when she adds a splash of milk to the steaming brew. Carrying it carefully to her wooden window seat, she gazes outside at the dim morning light filtering through dark clouds. Across the street, a neighbor's nightlight flickers softly. Most are still lost in dreams. As the early riser responsible for opening the bakery each day, Lily has grown accustomed to these quiet moments before dawn breaks fully. She cherishes being able to start others' days with freshly brewed coffee and delightful treats. Peering out at the overcast sky reminds her of snowflakes promised by today's forecast. Lightly touching the chilly glass of the window, she smiles at the thought that it just needs to grow colder for those magical snowy moments to arrive. For Lily, snowy days sprinkle an enchanting charm over everything in the bakery. From her spot behind the counter, Lily has a perfect view of the street through the large windows. She delights in observing the snow gently pile up on the sidewalks, where children frolic and craft snowmen beneath the glow of street lamps. While she has always cherished the sight of rain, Lily believes that everyone could use a sprinkle of magic now and then. After finishing her tea, she rinses her cup and places it on the bamboo rack to dry before heading back to her bedroom to get dressed. Each year during the cookie party, Lily dons the same delightful sweater she received as a Christmas gift many years ago. This cozy garment features a cheerful snowman set against a backdrop of towering trees crafted from squares that form a silly grin sure to lift her spirits. Her customers also seem to share her fondness for this whimsical sweater whenever she wears it. Once she's ready, donning her coat, scarf, hat, and gloves, Lily picks up her new umbrella, an adorable green one, adorned with yellow polka dots and topped with a handle shaped like a duck's head. She secures it around her wrist before stepping out of her bedroom and quietly closing the door behind her, ready to embrace the early morning rain. The rain has lightened since Lily was nestled in bed. Now it's just a soft drizzle, but she still prefers the snug dryness offered by her umbrella. As she strolls down the street, she opens it overhead and listens to the soothing sound of raindrops tapping against its cheerful fabric. This umbrella brings back memories of her friends and loyal customers at the bakery who surprised her with it after her old one succumbed to an autumn storm. Such acts of kindness often fill her thoughts on rainy mornings like this one, as she gazes up through the vibrant polka dots streaked with glistening raindrops. As she walks, Lily notices something different at her neighbor's window. A black cat is perched there instead of its usual white counterpart, its watchful eyes scanning the outside world. Behind this new feline friend, she catches a glimpse of white fur, her familiar companion from previous mornings. Watching as both cats curl up together in cozy semicircles, Lily muses to herself, "How lovely for the white cat to have found a new friend. Now they can enjoy each other's company." With a cheerful smile, Lily continues her stroll toward the bakery, where the familiar, vibrant door soon comes into sight. The first whispers of soft gray morning light begin to dance on the horizon, revealing the various hand-painted colors that adorn the entrance. Upon arriving at the bakery, she unlocks the door and steps inside, instantly enveloped by its cozy warmth. After gently shaking off her umbrella and leaving it to dry in the entryway, Lily wipes her feet on the mat and takes a deep breath, marking her transition from the outside world to this inviting space. The delightful scent of roasted coffee beans mingles with a touch of burnt sugar from yesterday's cookies, conjuring memories of sweet toasted marshmallows. She moves further in and flips on the lights, brightening up the bakery. Making her way to the seating area, she bends down to plug in a string of fairy lights that twinkle above like stars. Now ready to begin her day, She typically starts by baking a large batch of sticky cinnamon rolls. However, today is slightly different. She still needs to prepare a couple of batches of cookies to ensure there's plenty for later. Proceeding to the pantry, Lily gathers all the dry ingredients she will need. She is preparing double batches of chocolate chip cookies and stained glass sugar cookies. First, she pulls out flour, white sugar, brown sugar, vanilla extract, black treacle, and chocolate chips. Next come cornstarch and salt. Finally, she retrieves a bag of colorful hard candies that will be melted down to create beautiful glass panes for her stained glass cookies. From the refrigerator, she grabs baking soda and eggs while noting that the butter has been softening on the countertop, perfectly ready for use. Lily organizes everything by batch before mixing the dry and wet ingredients in separate bowls. Once they are prepared, she combines them until the dough reaches just the right consistency. For the chocolate chip cookies, she carefully folds in the chips to keep them intact before using an ice cream scoop to portion out even dollops onto a tray, which she then places in the oven to bake. As for the stained glass cookies, she wraps their dough and puts it in the refrigerator to chill, allowing it to firm up for easier rolling and shaping later on. As the mouth-watering scent of freshly baked cookies begins to fill the air, her first customer of the day steps inside. It's Seamus, as always, arriving for his daily cup of coffee and a sweet indulgence. While he usually opts for a cinnamon roll, on cookie day, he eagerly wants to be the first to sample whatever Lily has prepared, playfully checking that they've turned out just right with a sparkle in his eye. Lily has his coffee ready before he even reaches the counter, sliding it smoothly across the polished wood. Adjusting the newspaper tucked under his arm, Seamus lifts the warm cup. "What kinds are you baking this year?" he asks, glancing at the oven with anticipation. "Chocolate chip, classic sugar, and stained glass," Lily replies with a cheerful smile. "Well then, I suppose I'll have to taste one of each, if you don't mind," he says with a grin. "After all, it's my duty to ensure they're perfect." Lily laughs softly and nods in agreement. "Of course," she responds warmly. "Cookie day wouldn't be complete without you." Seamus settles by the window, enjoying a lovely view of the street dotted with puddles. As the dawn light begins to peek through the thick clouds, though the sun hasn't yet made its appearance, the clouds shift to a gentler shade of gray. At that moment, the timer chimes, signaling that the chocolate chip cookies are ready to come out of the oven. Donning her oven mitts, Lily opens the door and is greeted by a wave of warmth as she peers inside. The cookies are fluffy and beautifully golden brown, their chocolate chips melting into gooey perfection while still holding their shape. Carefully, Lily lifts the tray and places it on a wire rack to cool. The delightful aroma of freshly baked cookies fills the bakery, a magical scent that Lily believes transforms any space into a cozy home. Before long, it's time for her to take the sugar cookie dough out of the refrigerator. The dough is cool and firm beneath her fingers. She sets it down on her wooden table and reaches for her rolling pin. With graceful, purposeful motions, she rolls the dough out to just the right thickness. Next, she uses an assortment of square, rectangular, and circular cookie cutters to form delightful shapes. After that, she selects a second set of cutters to create charming smaller designs within the cookies. Bells, trees, ornaments, snowflakes, and more. Carefully, she arranges these cookie shapes on a prepared baking sheet. Then she sorts colorful hard candies into bags by color and crushes them into tiny bits with her rolling pin. With a teaspoon in hand, she sprinkles these sugary fragments into the cutout centers of each cookie. Once baked, the candy will melt beautifully, creating a stained glass effect framed by the cookie window. With everything ready, she slides the trays into the oven to bake. For a moment, Lily allows herself to unwind and enjoy the day unfolding around her. The sky brightens, despite the gentle drizzle outside. People begin to venture from their homes. Some stroll leisurely while others drive by. A few familiar faces enter the bakery. Rose, a regular visitor, and Gwen Spencer, with her 2 young twin boys in tow. Lily can tell them apart only because one wears glasses while the other does not. Otherwise, they are dressed alike in red shirts, blue jeans, and green fuzzy Walker socks. At just 2 years old, they love exploring the bakery, playing in the children's corner, and greeting other patrons. They also know that Lily is likely to surprise them with a sweet treat during their visits. As Lily gazes around, she realizes there's still much to do before the cookie party kicks off. With a quick wipe of her hands on her apron, she heads to the pantry, gathering an array of cookie decorating supplies. There are sprinkles in every imaginable shape and hue, slender ones, flat ones, and shiny round balls in gold and silver. She also discovers jars filled with colored decorative sugar, green, blue, red, yellow, and purple. Chocolate curls, coconut flakes, and tins of crushed peppermint candy join the collection. Carefully, she places everything into a large basket and carries it out to the seating area. Once there, she spreads an enticing assortment of decorations across each table, along with tubes of icing sugar and vibrant gel colors, plus shakers brimming with powdered sugar. Lastly, from the farthest corner of the pantry, she retrieves a grand metal tree. Its ribbed branches are perfect for hanging ornaments. However, this year it will display as many decorated cookies as it can hold. When her timer chimes, Lily hurries back to the oven to take out the stained glass cookies. A smile spreads across her face as she admires their perfection. Each cookie boasts a glossy center in bright shades of red, blue, orange, yellow, or green. While they cool down, she brings out the plain sugar cookies she baked yesterday. These delightful treats have already been shaped into playful forms like snow people, evergreen trees, snowflakes, and stars. One by one, she arranges all these different cookies onto large silver platters. Each table will feature its own platter, so everyone can pick their favorites to decorate. But before she sets out the larger trays, Lily has a special surprise to deliver. She carefully places one of each type of cookie onto a small plate and sets it right in front of Seamus. His face lights up as he picks up a chocolate chip cookie and takes a bite. He sighs happily with delight. "I think these are the best cookies you've ever made," he exclaims. "In fact, I believe they're just perfect." This is something he tells her every year about each batch of cookies. A warm glow fills Lily's heart at his words. Knowing that her baking brings joy makes her day feel even brighter each time she creates something special like cinnamon rolls or croissants or cookies that brings smiles to faces everywhere. Returning to the counter, Lily carefully lifts each of the larger trays and places them on the tables. As she glances at the clock, she realizes it's nearly time for guests to arrive. Just then, as if on cue, the door swings open and the first visitors step inside. It's one of the new families in town, their expressions filled with a charming shyness as they survey their surroundings. Lily greets them with a friendly wave, inviting them to choose a table and start whenever they feel ready. They respond with warm smiles and settle at a spot close to the entrance. Next, an elderly couple enters, here to visit their grandchildren. They always make it a point to stop by whenever they are in town. Taking their seats near Seamus, they exchange cheerful hellos before getting comfortable. One by one, familiar faces from the community fill Lily's bakery, young and old alike, some alone and others accompanied by loved ones, all gathering for the annual cookie decorating party. Laughter and chatter echo throughout the shop as everyone gathers around tables brimming with colorful supplies, accompanied by the delightful sounds of sprinkles being poured and icing tubes being squeezed. As she soaks in the cozy atmosphere, Lily feels a deep sense of contentment wash over her. There's truly no place she'd rather be than surrounded by the warmth and togetherness of her community. A glance out the window reveals gentle snowflakes beginning to fall from the sky. A child nearby spots them too. "Look, it's snowing!" she exclaims excitedly, catching her mother's attention. The room falls quiet as everyone turns to admire the delicate white crystals dusting everything outside. Lily wonders if her neighbor's cats are watching the snowfall from their window too. Whether it's the joy of being with everyone or simply the magic of winter that enchants her, she feels an irresistible urge to step outside and feel the snow upon her skin, even if just for a fleeting moment. With quiet determination, she glides around the counter, opens the door, and steps outside into the wintry air. Gazing up at the sky, Lily stretches her arms wide and twirls slowly in delight as snowflakes land softly on her face. With a playful grin, she sticks out her tongue to catch one of those tiny flakes, savoring this joyful moment. As she looks around, she absorbs the tranquil beauty of this snowy day. Everything seems hushed and enchanted beneath its white cover. In the distance, a crow leaves footprints in the fresh snow that mirror her own boot prints. Waving goodbye to both the crow and this winter wonderland outside, she eventually returns to her cozy bakery, leaving behind all that frosty magic for now. All around her, people are joyfully decorating cookies. Lily observes palm-sized snowmen dressed in scarves and hats, trees frosted in green and embellished with vibrant ornaments, delicate white and blue snowflakes with intricately iced edges, and white candles flickering with gentle yellow flames. There are stained glass cookies dusted with powdered sugar, suspended from ribbons and strings, alongside chocolate chip cookies that bear the marks of eager bites. A few guests have begun to hang their cookie creations on the metal tree nestled in the corner. While many take their treats home, several choose to leave one behind on the tree where it will remain until the arrival of the new year. Lily picks up a stained glass cookie, brings it to her lips, and takes a bite, relishing the buttery crumbs as they dissolve in her mouth. The sweet candy glass at its center dances on her tongue. There's nothing quite like a freshly baked cookie, Lily muses to herself. Throughout the day ahead, she will help her friends decorate their cookies in all sorts of fun and imaginative ways, perhaps treating herself to an afternoon coffee as well. But for now, she stands contentedly, soaking in the festive atmosphere while magical snowflakes drift down outside the bakery window. The soft patter against the glass gently stirs Lily from her slumber. Keeping her eyes closed for just a moment longer, she indulges in a few extra minutes of rest. Unwittingly, she drifts back into sleep as the sound of raindrops melds with images of damp streets and glistening puddles in her mind. Slowly, the dream begins to fade away as her thoughts return to her cozy bedroom. With a smile gracing her lips, Lily finally opens her eyes, thankful for those precious moments of rest. Even now, she notices the sound of rain diminishing. It might stop altogether, she thinks, as she stretches her arms high above her head. She rotates her toes in gentle circles, feeling warmth spread through her ankles with each movement before swinging her legs over the side of the bed. After slipping into her snug slippers, Lily makes her way to the kitchen. Like most mornings, she sets the kettle on the stove for a delightful cup of tea. She finds comfort in the gentle sound of bubbles forming within. Familiar and soothing, it creates a warm backdrop to the otherwise tranquil morning. At this hour, the bubbling water and the soft patter of rain are the two constants that make this place feel like home. Before dawn breaks, she reflects on the small yet significant joys of her life as she scoops dry tea leaves into a tall tea ball, twisting it shut. She then suspends the ball from her mug's rim with a delicate chain. When the water reaches a boil, Lily pours it over the leaves and watches as the hot liquid transforms into a rich hue, revealing new color patterns every time she brews her tea. This detail brings her joy. No matter how many mornings pass, each brew feels both familiar and refreshingly new. Once she adds a splash of milk to her tea, Lily carries it over to her wooden window seat. Gazing through the glass, she takes in her neighborhood, still shrouded in darkness. The rain has eased, giving way to a light mist that allows wisps of fog to drift in behind her neighbor's house. The man across the street tends to an exquisite garden during spring and summer. Even in autumn, his plants seem perfectly arranged. The fallen brown, red, and yellow leaves scattered across his lawn resemble an artist's brushstrokes on a lush canvas. At this early hour, he remains asleep, just like most of the neighborhood. With a smile, Lily thinks to herself, I must be one of the earliest risers in town. Though her bakery demands early hours, Lily doesn't mind at all. It brings her happiness to provide a welcoming spot for her customers as they start their day. As she glances across the street, she notices a patch of soil recently turned over. Realizing he must have planted bulbs yesterday sparks a thought. She should do the same. Next to her bakery lies a small garden where Lily has enjoyed planting various crops over time. From herbs to tomatoes and peppers, it is now transformed into a flower garden, or will become spring if she gets those bulbs in soon. They rely on the cool autumn soil to awaken from their slumber and take root for the season ahead. I must remember to bring them to the bakery today, she reminds herself warmly. After savoring her tea, Lily took one last look out the window. The fog was now enveloping the house across the street, a phenomenon she had anticipated. She had always found foggy days to be magical, as if they held hidden wonders and realms of possibility just waiting to be discovered. This thought brought a smile to her face as she stood up, carried her mug to the sink, washed it, and left it to dry on a bamboo rack before making her way to the bedroom to get dressed. Choosing a vibrant red shirt adorned with yellow accents, she thought to herself, on a gray day like this, I might as well add a dash of color to my outfit. At the front door, a paper bag filled with flower bulbs awaited her attention. The bulbs varied in texture from somewhat firm to slightly soft, and included daffodils, narcissus, and crocuses that reminded her of onions and garlic. The hyacinth bulbs, with their deep reddish-purple hue, conjured images of turnips. Lily slipped on her coat, carefully tucked the bag of bulbs into a roomy pocket, donned her hat and gloves, and secured her green and yellow polka dot umbrella around her wrist. As she opened the door, she paused to take in the quiet street outside, where the fog wrapped everything in a soft embrace, blurring the pavement as it met the road in front of her home. She imagined the neighboring houses, peacefully slumbering within their gentle gray shroud. Taking a deep breath, Lily delighted in the crisp and refreshing scent of the air, cleansed by the recent rain and fog. Feeling invigorated, she closed the door behind her and set off on her walk. Although small puddles dotted the pavement, none were large enough to obstruct her path. Her boots allowed her to navigate them with ease. Noticing how little water had collected, she thought to herself, the rain must have been light and brief last night. Enjoying her stroll to the bakery without needing her umbrella, Lily looked up at the gray sky where fog danced around the treetops, mingling with branches and leaves. She reached out her hand and gently swept it through the mist, feeling droplets collect on her skin. Instead of wiping them on her coat, she brought her hands together as if welcoming moisture into them like lotion. Finding comfort in this connection with nature, she reveled in her bond with the weather, trees, and sky above. As Lily shifts her gaze toward where her neighbor's house should stand, all she can make out is the faint outline of the driveway, shrouded in a soft blanket of white and gray fog. Her thoughts drift to her neighbor's two cats, one as white as snow and the other as dark as midnight. She imagines them curled up together in their favorite window nook, perhaps lost in dreams of warm summer days and fragrant catnip. Continuing on her path, she listens to the gentle rhythm of her footsteps tapping against the pavement, each sound magnified by the thick fog that envelops her. Under this mystical cover, every noise becomes clearer, creating an enchanting atmosphere around her. It takes Lily a bit longer than usual to catch sight of the bakery. The vibrant, multicolored door peeks through the swirling mist for just a brief moment before it vanishes again. A smile spreads across her face. Even without seeing it directly, she knows it's there. After so many years of walking this same route each morning, she feels confident she could navigate it blindfolded. Yet, there's a comforting joy in spotting it and knowing she'll soon step inside. surrounded by the familiar scents of coffee beans, sugar, and flour, while turning on the twinkling fairy lights that will breathe life into her little shop. With a practiced motion, she retrieves her keys and selects the right one for the lock. Stepping inside, she wipes her feet on the welcome mat before flicking on the overhead lights. She removes her coat and hangs it up carefully, leaving the bulbs tucked away in its pocket. Before making her way behind the counter, she locates the end of the fairy light strand in the seating area and plugs them in. They spring to life above her with a cheerful flicker. This might just be my favorite moment of the day, she muses quietly to herself. As those lights begin to twinkle overhead, she knows she's truly home at the bakery. Filled with gratitude for this cherished space, Lily takes a deep breath, savoring the deliciously familiar aromas that surround her. The scent of coffee beans is both thick and rich, while flour carries a dusty hint that reminds her of joyful weekends spent baking delightful treats with her grandmother. The sweet fragrance of sugar, slightly caramelized, evokes memories of fairground delights and holiday cookies shaped like trees and ornaments. With a contented exhale, she feels her muscles unwind, rolling her shoulders gently to warm them up and stretch them out. She finally walks behind the counter with a sense of belonging. Before leaving the bakery yesterday, she had carefully set aside a cherished recipe for one of her favorite treats to enjoy during the chilly months: fudge. As she gazes at the well-loved handwritten page, marked with cocoa powder smudges and frayed at one corner, the rich, chocolatey flavor comes flooding back to her. Yes, she muses, this is precisely what I want to whip up today. One of the aspects she adores about this recipe is its simplicity. It requires just two main ingredients: chocolate chips and sweetened, condensed milk. Lily pauses for a moment, contemplating the different fudge flavors she could create. Some of her loyal customers often ask for peppermint, so she'll need to retrieve the peppermint extract and crush some candy canes for a delightful topping. Rose has a fondness for hazelnut fudge, which means she'll need whole hazelnuts to sprinkle on top. And for herself, she's been craving a decadent orange chocolate fudge, especially since she has some leftover candied orange peel to add an extra zing. She ventures into the pantry and finds her trusty double boiler, perfectly sized pans, wax paper, chocolate chips, sweetened condensed milk, and all the essential flavorings and toppings. Carefully carrying them back behind the counter, Lily admires her shining silver double boiler, the secret to achieving flawlessly melted chocolate chips, just as her mother had once taught her. Over the years, despite trying various methods with bowls over pots and other techniques, Lily couldn't forget her mother's wisdom when it came time to start her own bakery. Thus, she invested in a gleaming double boiler of her own. Lily fills the bottom pot with water halfway and places the upper pot on top before setting it on the stove. She pours a generous amount of chocolate chips into the upper pot. As the water beneath begins to warm up, steam rises steadily, melting the chocolate evenly and preventing it from scorching. With a wooden spoon in hand, she gently stirs the chips, watching in delight as they transition from solid chunks to a smooth and gooey mixture. swirling gracefully around the pot. Before long, the chocolate chips transform into a velvety pool of molten goodness. As Lily adds the sweetened condensed milk, she stirs the mixture until everything is beautifully combined. Once she takes the boiler off the heat, she carefully incorporates a spoonful of peppermint extract into the fudge. The invigorating scent of peppermint fills the air, stirring her senses and bringing back memories of frosty winter days blanketed in ice and snow. With a swift motion, she pours the warm chocolate mixture into a pan lined with wax paper, letting it cascade like ribbons into every nook and cranny, much like lava flowing through a rocky landscape. She scrapes the sides of the pot with her wooden spoon to ensure not a drop of fudge is wasted, then gently lifts the pan and taps it on the counter to help the mixture settle evenly. Now it's time to prepare the topping. Lily retrieves a sturdy rolling pin from a nearby drawer and unwraps several red and white candy canes one by one, peeling off their plastic wrappers with care. Feeling a slight stickiness on her fingers from the sugary treats, she places them inside a bag nestled between two towels and rolls the pin back and forth over them. The soft cracks signal that the candy is breaking into smaller pieces. Once crushed into tiny fragments, she scoops some up in her hand and sprinkles them over the cooling fudge. The larger chunks will add a delightful crunch, while the finer bits will lend an extra hint of peppermint flavor. Lily transfers the fudge to cooling racks, where it will rest until it's ready to be sliced and enjoyed. In the meantime, she tidies up the pot and prepares for her next two batches. Before starting again, she grates an entire orange for its fragrant zest. This zest, along with some orange oil, will infuse her fudge with a bright citrusy flavor. After melting another batch of chocolate chips and mixing them with milk, she adds both the zest and oil to her pan. The glossy fudge glimmers in the light as it comes together smoothly. Lily imagines how this vibrant creation will melt in her mouth with each bite. To finish it off, she decorates the top with delicate curls of candied orange peel, pressing them down gently to set in place. She allows herself a taste, relishing in the burst of citrus balanced perfectly by rich sweetness. Next, it was time to whip up some hazelnut fudge. Just as Lily was about to turn on the stove to heat some water, Rose appeared on the opposite side of the counter. "It's so foggy outside," she commented to Lily. She began to recount her earlier experience that morning when she left her house, feeling a bit lost due to the dense fog that shrouded everything around her. Eventually, she caught sight of the bakery's twinkling lights in the distance, serving as guiding stars that led her through the mist to her beloved destination. Lily beamed with delight as Rose shared her tale, excited to tell her about the hazelnut fudge they were making. "That's my favorite," Rose exclaimed, softly clapping her hands together in anticipation. Lily poured a cup of coffee for Rose, who nestled into a warm spot by the window. Returning to the stove, Lily set up the double boiler and combined chocolate and milk just as she had done before. Once she removed the mixture from the heat, she added hazelnut flavoring and crushed hazelnuts before pouring it into a lined pan. To finish off her creation, she carefully arranged whole hazelnuts in neat rows atop the fudge, giving each piece a delightful crunch and rich taste. As the tempting aroma of hazelnut fudge filled the air, mingling with hints of orange and peppermint, a perfect blend for a chilly day. Lily noticed Rose smiling contentedly. While waiting for the fudge to cool, Lily decided it would be a good time to plant some bulbs. It's a quiet day, and I'll have a clear view of anyone coming in, she thought. Approaching Rose, she gently placed a hand on her shoulder. I'll be outside if you need anything, she reassured her. To Lily's surprise, Rose offered to lend a hand, an unexpected joy for Lily, who welcomed company in the garden. Though she cherished moments spent alone with her plants, time spent with dear friends was always treasured. Over many years, Rose had truly become one of those cherished friends. Hand in hand, Lily and Rose approached the door, donning their coats and wrapping scarves around their necks as they step outside. In the quaint garden, Lily pulls a bag of flower bulbs from her pocket. Meanwhile, Rose discovers a workbench adorned with a few tools and finds a couple of trowels waiting for them. The two women kneel on the earth, giggling as the cool, damp soil seeps into the knees of their trousers, and they begin to dig. They share fond memories of the seasons they've experienced at the bakery. There was that time when Max from the hardware store mistakenly ordered 12 dozen cupcakes instead of just 2 for his daughter's birthday bash, leading to a delightful few days of giving away cupcakes galore. Then there was the summer storm that swept through, washing out roads and leaving visitors stranded in town. The bakery became a haven as everyone came together to brew coffee, whip up snacks, and gather blankets and children's books to ensure the guests were cozy until the roads were cleared. Do you remember all the wonderful moments we've shared here? Rose asks with a smile. Lily nods in agreement, carefully pressing soil around the last flower bulb. Stepping back, she admires their creation. Rose joins her side, and together they stand in peaceful silence, reflecting on the cherished years gone by. Lily gazes up at the fairy lights twinkling like little stars in the misty darkness, inviting those seeking warmth and comfort. A bakery that shines brightly on rainy days.